Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Don't Trip Sis podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Ashley Dominique. I'm a handful, but I'm sweet, and I'm here with my sis, my co-host.
Hey y'all, it's Ashley Berger who always has something to say, and I'm so excited to get into this other topic, another discussion, another episode. So Ash, let's get into it, sis.
All right, everyone. So today we are bringing some of our roots to the surface. We're talking about the Bay Area. Some of that Bay flavor, some of that Bay mix. I feel like everyone needs a little bit of this. But specifically, our accents. For me in general, I get a lot of people thinking I'm from the Midwest when I'm not in the Bay Area. Even when I'm in lower parts of California, like Central or South California, there a lot of people are like, hey, you're from the Midwest? I get like Missouri, Illinois area, just off of certain words I say has like that hard R sound or certain vowels in front of it. It just gives it a little mix up, but it's that uniqueness from the Bay and that diverse culture blend that creates these different accents. For me personally, being born in Berkeley, lived in Richmond and Vallejo most of my life, I picked up a little different bad habits with my language, and it's a beautiful thing. But for me personally, it's just a Bay thing. We are unique, we're diverse. It's just something that can't be described, and I haven't really seen it anywhere else. And I've been to other places, other states, and it's just not the same. What you feel, sis? It's just not the same for me personally.
Yeah, you know what? I agree 100%. I mean, me being born in Oakland and raised in Alameda and then Napa, Vallejo, so I get you. I honestly get the accent of not being from California. Most people think I'm from the East Coast, preferably New York. Now, I do have to admit, I did live in New York for a couple years, so I understand that. So I did pick up an accent when living out there. But even when I've been back home in Cali for many, many years now, and I don't live in the Bay anymore, I live in Los Angeles. But even with that, most people don't think I'm from the Bay. It's either East Coast guests or they think I'm from the South. And I think because I was raised to say yes ma'am, no ma'am, and all of that, and people think, okay, well, that's kind of a Southern thing, so you must be from the South. And I'm like, no, I'm from California, Northern California Bay all day. And I find that very interesting how your California Bay Area roots sometimes are not picked up, but people give you other regions of the US, or even, are you from Canada? It's like, nah. I'm like born and raised US, Cali all day. And I find it very interesting, but it is because of our roots. And I think because it's such a multicultural pot in the Bay Area, you grow up with so many different cultures and races, which is a beautiful thing. You pick up, different dialect, not on purpose, but sometimes on purpose, and it's a beautiful vibe. But I always normally get New York and the South. They never really guess California. And if they do, they guess LA.
Even when I've lived in other states, when I've lived in Houston per se, people knew just by my aura that I wasn't from the state of Texas. Just by the way I carry myself, I have that unique Bay essence that everyone from the Bay has. When you go somewhere else, they can tell you're from somewhere else. And the moment they even bring up that question, like, you're not from over here, huh? I'm like, no, I'm from Cali. Because if anybody from California, we don't run around yelling, I'm from California. That's too much. That's a whole mouthful. That's a whole sentence. We say Cali. We don't like, right. Even though we discussed previously about using acronyms, no, there is a California language that we do have. And it's even more unique if you're from the Bay Area. Instantly tell people, no, I'm from Cali. And they're like, oh, like LA? No. That's not California. I'm from the Bay. Northern California, Southern California is literally two different states. I don't know what they teaching people in school. They teaching everybody else. It's just the state of California. Now, it's kind of sectioned out, to be honest. It's Northern California. There's Southern California. Like, they got North Carolina, South Carolina. We two different people. And our language and everything, our vibe is different. They move different down in Southern California. Still lovely people, but we do things literally on opposite spectrums for us to be in the same state. We're about 6 hours away, but it's so different. That gap is so different. And it's even more different at what I call our invisible border, which is Central California, because I don't know anyone that references Central California for anything other
Right.
than we do
Like,
call
where
it the
is that?
Valley.
Right, exactly. I totally agree. I mean, let's be real, and there's no shade to Central California. Everybody who's
Yeah,
from there,
we
that's
love you
beautiful.
all.
But let's
Yeah,
be
we
real.
love you all.
No, right. No one. I never think about Central California at all. I'm like, what? Stockton, Tracy? What? No, it's either L.A. or the Bay, and nothing in between.
We
You know,
don't even
even
stop
with
there.
Sacramento, I
And
know
Ain't
some
no
people.
shade out there.
Yeah, I
Ain't
know
no
some
shade.
people claim Sacramento as the Bay, and I'm like, it's
No.
Sacramento. Yeah, it's in Northern Cali, but it's like, no, it's still not
They're
really the
almost
Bay.
in. Well,
You know.
if you're from the Bay, Sacramento is basically touching the border of Oregon in our eyes. So
Thank you.
even though it's not on the border, you might as well be up
Right.
that high, because it's just, that's beyond Northern California. At that point, you're way closer to Oregon in our eyes than you are to the Bay Area.
Right.
The Bay Area is yes,
Right.
we're unique, but we do have, we have a little outskirt, and that's where we like to. I like
Yeah.
to look at it as like, these are the cities that window shop into the Bay. They got a view of the Bay, but they don't live in the Bay. That's because they're not from the Bay.
Right. Right.
Even, yeah, I think there's no water touches Sacramento. So if the water don't touch
No.
you, you don't get that murky,
Mm.
mercury breeze
No.
hitting you. You're not from
No.
the Bay.
I feel like Sacramento is like farmland. Parts of me, when I go up there, reminds me of the Midwest. Parts of the Midwest.
Just
To
ranches
be honest,
and cowboys.
you know what I mean?
Ranches and cowboys.
Girl, yes, farms and huts and whatnot, chickens and whatnot, and that's cool. But just to me, it's just not my vibe. Like Bay for me, as we all know, is the town, and people who are really from the Bay know the town is Oakland. Like
Yeah.
people who really know the lingo out here, we know
Yeah.
Frisco,
Oh yeah, we
San
know a
Francisco, we
foreigner.
call it city.
And when we
Yeah.
speak of foreigners, anybody that's not from Cali, anybody that's not from the Bay Area, even we don't look at people from LA, Central California, San Diego area, or more up north as foreigners. You're not from the Bay, we can tell, because you're not calling
Right.
it
Right.
what we call it. We don't say Oakland, we call it the town. We don't say San Francisco, because for one, who's saying all these long names? It's the city. Even Vallejo,
Right.
being called Vallejo, we will even break that down and say the Valley Joe, or something of
Yeah.
that nature. San Leandro, the Dro, Richmond, the Rich. There is a
Right,
certain
facts.
lingual. Hayward, East Bay, like we literally have a name for every city, and then we have the actual name that tourists go by, and that's how we know. Okay, so not only are you not from here, but you don't understand what we're saying, and we don't understand what you're saying, because
At all.
you're going, oh, which directions to San Francisco in this street and that street? And we're
Right.
like, so you're trying to get to the city and you want to go eat at such and such. Okay, boop boop boop, here
Right.
you go. And at the end of the day, it's a
Exactly.
beautiful thing. Just be careful visiting the Bay. Anybody that's not from the Bay, it's a lovely, diverse mixing pot. There's so much culture to be explored. But the Bay is different now than it was in the past. It's not everyone's cup of tea. You might leave with a little less Cadillac converter than you had when you got there, depending on if you're driving. Or even your Uber driver might even be missing a Cadillac converter at this point. It's a big, heavy thing out this way in the Bay Area. But it's so beautiful, you might have to get on a bike or a bus to be a little safe, and try not to do your research. Look at how the
Yeah, and I think
people
also-
move around and stuff, so you can kind of blend and be a little safe. So if you want to come and be exposed to that Bay Area culture.
Yeah, and I think it also depends on where you visit, because
Definitely.
we have, of course, the main part of the Bay Area, but if you go further up, like the Napa, Calistoga, it's beautiful up there,
Oh,
and
yes. Wine
you're a little
country.
bit, it's safer up there in
Yeah.
certain parts, let's be real.
It's more welcoming
But,
than
again,
other parts. And it's
Exactly.
not specific to,
Yeah.
because there's a certain culture there that you have to watch out for.
Yeah,
It's just the way things are moving.
yeah,
The day and time.
exactly, because I
Things are
know,
moving.
right, I went to college up in Rohnert Park, so for those who don't know, that's like the Sonoma area. I went to Sonoma State, go see Woods, all that fun stuff. So like I grew up, well, college-wise, I was up there, and then grad school I was in San Francisco, and then high school I was in Berkeley and Napa. So like my roots is kind of all planted all throughout,
Yeah, you were
the
exposed
Bay
to
Area,
where
and
different areas, different
Yeah.
parts of the Bay culture. and how
Right.
how it's blended, and then how some areas are just, you know, you got to be a little more on point about your safety.
Mm-hmm.
Not gonna lie, about your safety and your surroundings. We're taught in the Bay Area
Yeah.
to keep your head on a swivel. Like, you could be with 10 people, but you still better be on point, because of anything what we call pop off. If anything pops off or something dramatic happens, you're prepared for that. But uniquely in the Bay, you can tell, even amongst ourselves, who's from where based off of how they talk. For myself personally, a lot of people I know from like the Richmond area sound a little more country, Midwest. That's where they get a little bit of that country
Mm-hmm.
slang at in there in their dialect. From the town, they just move from the city. Depending on where they're at in the city, it could be a little hyper sometimes for some of them. It could be, or just like, they'll be smooth with it, but you can tell like they're not having that open, welcome personality. Unless there's literally two opposites only that I've met in San Francisco, the city, from my own experience. Either they're part of the happy-go-lucky community where they're just like super welcoming, yes, come in, give me hugs. Then they're like, nah, I don't know you. I will never know you. You will never know me. We will never get along. I don't trust you. Who are you? Like, either they fool with you or they don't. In other parts of the Bay, I think there's a little more. These are just from the people that's there. Yes, it's a good tourist site if you go into like the main attractions, like the waterfronts and areas of that. But people from the town, from Richmond, Hayward area, San Leandro, even the smaller areas like Rodeo, um, Vallejo, even like Benicia, things of that nature, they're a little more friendly. And their speech sounds different than like someone from San Francisco, how they would talk, or from the town would talk. It's literally a different accent.
But you know what? Right. But you know what I also think, sis, that this is not just a Bay Area thing. I think different cities across the state have different lingos. You know, you go to people who live in Maryland, and people from Bmore are going to talk different from people who live in a different city. People who live in Georgia are going to talk to people from different who live in Atlanta, and people who live in Savannah, Georgia, or Macomb, Georgia. People, you know what I'm saying? So I love how, you know, for here in Cali, we do have our own lingo. But again, when I've gone to different places, even in Chicago, I talk to my friends out there. I'd be like, okay, y'all talk a little different. And I love that. So I think every city has that culture that is different compared to other people.
We're all speaking the same language, but we have our own vibe and version of it. Like you brought up Baltimore. I love Baltimore. Mm-hmm. Y'all unique.
Me too.
Y'all some unique. All them fuge, whatever. Them. I don't know what that is. It's lovely. It's y'all thing. Y'all can't say anything with an R in it properly. If it got like an A or an I in front of that R, it is going all the way south, left, a few circles, flips, cartwheels. They're unique. I don't know what they be saying half the time, and I end up probably agreeing to stuff. I don't know what I'm talking about. To me, it's like someone speaking a different language, and I'm just nodding my head yes. I don't know if anybody else do that, or you nod your head yes because you don't know. You just know your body just agreeing to stuff. You don't know what they're talking about. Next thing you know, you done donated a kidney because they was like, please, can you give me a few kidneys or something? I don't know. And I agreed to some shit I didn't want to get into. But it's beautiful. That I personally feel like, you know, some people in Maryland, especially Baltimore area, they're their own Americans, because what is that? Yeah. What is that? Yeah. We have our own accents in the Bay, and they definitely have their own accents in the LA area. But what is that? That's one place I've never been able to decipher their accent from Baltimore. I've been able to kind of catch on to what certain people say in like the South, especially Louisiana. I thought catching on some of them people in like East Texas was a little complicated. Louisiana and Baltimore, y'all, give me a dictionary, or get them little closed captions bubbles in front of you, or the little bouncing ball they used to put in front of Shaq every time he would speak on TV. I need y'all to translate. Somebody to translate what y'all saying. The only thing I understand in their language is anything without that choose fuse. And then for Louisiana is baby. When they say baby, that's the only thing.
And they say baby? My cousins say that a lot. Baby? And I'm like, okay.
I love
But I
it.
love it
I could
because
tell you're from Louisiana
I know
because,
my
like, say it
culture.
again, say it again.
Yeah.
It does something to me. Go ahead.
Yeah, my roots are from. I have family from Louisiana. I have family all over the place, but like definitely in Louisiana, Shreveport, Holly, Louisiana, and then of course New Orleans or New Orleans, as my family says. But like when I go down there, yeah, when I go down there, I have my cousins, and they're Creole, so we have that in our lineage. So I hear the Creole dialect mixed in with the Southern, and I'm really like, I have no idea what you asked me. Oh, you asked me for some crawfish and some. That's what you said. Yes, and it's like I love it though, cause I'm like, I really don't know what you saying, fam. I really don't know, but I know you talking good. Like it's a whole
It's like you're trying
another
to talk to me.
Another world. Yeah,
It definitely
but I love
is.
it. I love
And that's
it.
how we are in the Bay.
Absolutely.
For myself, personally, you mentioned you stayed in New York. I speak fast, and I trained myself to talk fast because certain words I say all the grammar errors. You can see me missing commas when I speak, punctuations, letters, all that. When I talk, so I taught myself to speak fast because certain words I say, I'm definitely saying it completely wrong.
Mm-hmm.
I don't say New York. What my mouth and throat is like, girl, get that word out of here. What is that? I say New York.
Mm-hmm.
I cut it sleep, and I say it fast because if I say it slow, you're gonna hear all the errors in my language. And I'm like, yeah, that and hair. I can't even say it without it coming out weird. Hair. What is hair? Her. Short, sweet, to the point.
And you sound like you're from St. Louis when you say it that way.
And that's why I get the Midwest.
You do.
Sometimes I'm like, okay, you were from the Midwest and you grew up out here, and now we could tell that the culture blend. No, there's no culture blend. I'm from the Bay, and I say her and here, and there I'm saying hair and here.
It didn't sound like it. It didn't sound like it.
I heard it.
Girl.
I heard the difference.
Girl,
I heard the difference.
and I love you heard it because I thought you said hair twice.
So I'm gonna
like
get myself them closed caption bubbles so people can. I say it fast so you don't see the mistake, and it's only just certain words because some words with the R I can say perfectly fine. If it has just a certain vowel or consonant around it, it goes left. I don't know what it is. Like New York. I've tried plenty of times to say New York, and it's like my mouth is like, that's not even English. What are you doing? It's not how you say it. You're making up words. That's New York. I take out the R, it just feels right. Or her. Right. When I say her, like that's for me here. And I say her. Which to me, I hear the difference. I hear a slight AI in my hair. But girl, I can't say hair. I can't. For me, and I grew up speaking like that from the Bay Area, and I'm not the only. I've seen other people speak like that, but they're instantly be like, "Okay, you're from probably like a certain city in the Bay Area," because you can hear that same dialect sometimes. But they've also developed the fast speak with confidence, speak a little fast, and people won't catch your errors. That's how I figured out how to do it, because when I would speak slower to be heard better, people catch the error and they're like, why do you say it like that? I'm like, okay, we're not going to talk about the way I talk before we don't talk at all. And next you know, we do a sign language in a very interesting way with each other because you harassing me about the way I talk. So for me personally, growing up mostly in like the Vallejo area, I spent some of my years also in Richmond. I think I picked up some very unique, distant Midwest lingo. And I think that's just part of from the great migration to the West. A lot of people coming from the South in the Midwest area, East Coast, coming towards the West just to move here and, start a better life. And some of that dialect they brought with them is still present in today's time. It definitely is. And for even with simple things like, it's not just R's with me, like baby doll. I don't say baby doll. It doesn't flow. But I'll say baby doll. And I'll say it fast so you don't hear me saying in the country way. Because people will catch it if I slow it down. So I talk fast. And now it's my natural speaking voice to speak a little faster. So certain parts of my accent do not get picked up and you won't notice. Otherwise, people instantly go, "Oh, hey, you from like Illinois or like Missouri? You from like St. Louis?" It's like, no, I'm from the Bay, born and raised. I have family out there. I love it. Love the Midwest. We definitely have a little bit of your dialect over here. We got a Bay version, a Bay accent version of the Midwest for sure out this way, and the Southern, which is strange because we're the West Coast, and LA doesn't have it, which is even weirder. So I don't know how this happened, but the Bay Area definitely we have a little bit of that country twang to ourselves up here, and if you're not taught to speak different and like make those small adjustments, I wouldn't call them corrections, make those small adjustments, you will have that accent going on later in life, like myself in my late 30s trying to say York and hair and make it feel right when I say it. Otherwise it sounds like I'm I'm literally learning these words for the first time.
Yeah, and I know like for me, growing up, the fact that my mom was a teacher, I had to speak correctly and speaking properly and all these things. So she would get on me very well if I was trying to incorporate any type of slang in my younger years. And so I grew up speaking a certain way. And so I picked up a New York accent only when I lived in New York. Other than that, I was always speaking how I speak now. And then the thing is though, I can obviously, like a lot of us, we can code switch. So I know there's a certain moment where I can just be like, oh my gosh, it's so amazing. Yeah. And then all of a sudden I'm like, look, first of all, and then it switches. But growing up, I was always speaking a certain way. So like when you said hair and all that, like I was, always said hair and stairs and, it's just certain syllables because my mom stayed on me. But again, she's a teacher, she taught for Oakland Unified for over 30 years. So it's like, you had to really speak correctly, get to write correctly, all these things. But again, traveling to different parts of the state, and then of course traveling out of the country, preferably going to London, is when I learned other accents. And shout out to people in the UK because I have a lot of friends out there and I love their accent, especially there's different parts of the UK. Like I know in South London there is a lot of different they say things differently, like they say bruv, and go to the ends. And of course ends, for people who don't know, that's the hood for them. And then like literally and for sure and all these things, it's a cool accent. And then you got East London, they talk differently too. And then you got people from Yorkshire, Manchester, all these different areas. And I love how when I'm over there, a lot of my friends, before we got to really know each other, they didn't think I was from Cali. Yet again, they thought I was from Canada or the South or the East Coast. And then they try to imitate the American accent, and the only American accent they try to do is the New York accent. Like it's the only one they can do for the ones that my friends that I know over there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's so interesting.
Yeah.
And my friends out there, they're like, the only accent most Americans know how to do is the proper British accent, which is most likely true. We don't really know how to do the more broken English accent from South
their
London
everyday
and other places
accent.
like that.
We don't
really know that. And then like even watching like the show Top Boy. Watching the show Top Boy, and I don't know if anybody watched that, but this show was on Netflix and it took place over a season in the UK, which I love that show. It's a mix of the actors being from South London mixed with a Jamaican accent. And I'm gonna tell y'all, sis, I had to watch it with captions because I didn't know what I was like, what am I? I was trying to understand the storyline, and it was just crazy. It was good.
Yeah,
it was really good, but it's just you had to have captions on, to watch the show. Yeah. It was good. It was good, but just I had to have captions to understand what was being said.
And definitely, a lot of people I hear when they do like an American accent is definitely pointed towards like the East Coast New York accent. If they try to do a Southern one, it's super dramatic and extra country, way harder than a lot of places in the South do it. And then if you let them know, like, hey, I know I'm from California, they kill me with that Valley girl accent. Oh my God, let's go swimming. Oh, let's go. No, that's not how we talk. We do not. Even people from the Valley, I don't hear them talk too much. Like, I think that's an old accent that it's not as prevalent today as it used to be. It is a bunch of those still out there, but they definitely, when you tell them you're from California, they instantly either reference LA or they give you a Valley girl accent, and you're like, You don't hear me talking? Did you hear any of that come out during this conversation before I brung up I was from Cali? If they're like, oh, well, where are you from? Then you say the Bay. They're trying to figure out, is that the name of the town, or is this like a localized area? And then you have to reference the city, San Francisco, for a lot of people who are not familiar. So they could be like, oh, because it's so used in media and movies, San Francisco is definitely saturated in the entertainment field. They film a lot of things there, so they know what that is. They're like, oh, okay. It's a huge tourist attraction as well, and they definitely have their own unique sound there. It's just, it's like any other place. Once you visit it, you're like, wow, this doesn't look like anything on the movies. It's like what they showed me. I'm like, yeah, because they bedazzled the scenes in the movies. And I've always found that UK accent so unique that a lot of people from other countries that moved there in the first generation or second generation, native born, they have that British accent with a little bit of a Caribbean dialect. And I'm like, okay, so where are you from? But then they'd be like, oh, I'm Nigerian, or I'm from Uganda or something. I'm like, oh, this accent is different. It's unique. But when you're from America, sorry, we give you guys one clean cut accent for everybody, and that's that really proper UK accent, and it's not even how they talk. And we think that's, oh yeah, I sound British. Well, would you like a cup of tea? And we're like, the whole time they're like, that's not how we even. And for some reason, we all instantly go to tea and crumpets. I don't know why, we just assume that's what everybody out there is doing. Are they eating beans and toast? But to me, being from America, that's like an odd breakfast. Like, why do you have beans and toast? Is everyone struggling in the UK? Are y'all okay?
I've never had that.
Y'all want to talk?
Never.
I probably wouldn't even try it because I feel like
I haven't.
That's not a combo. That's a struggle meal in America. That's what you eat when you in university, as they call it, uni over there. When you're in college, and you know you're working to be in school. Your scholarship wasn't a full scholarship, and you still have to work to pay for everything. That's when you start eating beans and toast. But that's a staple for them. And I'm like, over here, we like, that's been a struggle meal for people of the U.S. That's like a last resort if you have nothing else to do. You might have a piece of bread and a can of beans in your kitchen, and you make it work. That's what that meal comes off as, but it's a staple there. And it's strange because our staple meals and the way we talk and the things we do out here, they're so fascinating. They're like, why did they do that? And why are your breakfast so heavy? And we're like, oh, we know. You get you a pancake, you get you some eggs, some bacon, and something to drink, and you have a wonderful day off of this very heavy meal. But it should keep you full until dinner, because we be busy out here doing sometimes a bunch of nothing, but we just be busy.
Yeah, I think also being over there, because I've been to the UK so many times, but a lot of times I don't eat the traditional European breakfast. Mm-hmm. Most of the time I go with the more Caribbean or African dishes because that is more sustenance. So for me, I would say anybody who hasn't been to the UK, try out all the foods, but go to, if you're down, to the more African and Caribbean foods, because their breakfast is different. Their lunch is bomb. It's so good. So the European beans and toast and blood sausage and, these different pies, none of it was appealing to me. Even when I was in Germany, we had, certain foods in Germany were pretty good. Belgium, same thing. But it's just like, there's certain cultures with certain foods and that represent that, whatever it means to that culture. And it's just beautiful. Yeah. Here in, the Bay, it's different. And then our cultures are different. Like my family, grew up eating healthy. So we had to eat. It was a mixture. I mean, I grew up eating grits, though. Grits and cream of wheat. That was what I had a lot.
I got some of that downstairs.
And eggs and whatnot.
Yeah, it's a mixture,
it's
of
like
course. And then I go to visit my family in Illinois.
Yeah.
Then I'm getting biscuits and rolls because my grandparents were from Louisiana, in Arkansas. Yeah, so it's a mixture of all these different
biscuits and gravy. It's still a heavy meal, but every place has their own, depending on if you're north.
Yeah, it's totally different.
West.
Yeah,
it's completely different. New York area, right, you get you a chopped cheese. In the West Coast, we don't got chopped cheese over here.
Yeah,
And New York is blended. And see, that's the thing. New York is blended. Miami's blended with different cultures. Of course, the UK, we're blended. You get halal food, Arabic food, Middle Eastern food, which is the same thing. You know, all these different cultures, which I love. I remember living in New York. There was a food truck right off the by my apartment, and every time, that's when I started really trying Middle Eastern food, and it was so good because they had food trucks, and then you go to another food truck that had Thai food, and that's like, yo, this was beautiful because it's exposing you to different cultures of the world, and I think that helps you understand cultures, helps you understand the language that they speak,
even if it's like influence the accents that we have, beautiful. Our American accents, and it's not discussed that much how we have several thousands accents in the U.S. And particularly the Bay. A lot of that is seen because it so makes us diverse. We have our Asian culture, our Black culture, our white culture, our Hispanic and Latino cultures, which so mixed, and you can see that native languages with their accent and their little twang, because we do say things differently in the Bay Area than a lot of other places, and that's kind of like identifiers. So when we go somewhere else, we can identify our people, and it's weird because people from the Bay, we just have that kind of aura that lets it be comfortable for people to just walk up and speak to us. When I lived in Texas, a lot of people would just speak to me randomly. I worked at the airport, and people would just come up and just randomly like, oh hey, I was doing this, but I can't get it to do this. You know how to make this work? And when I speak to them, they're like, you're not from here, huh? I'm like, no. I'm like, you came over here to get help, and now you wonder where I'm from, because you can hear the difference in the way I speak, and it's not a Southern drawl, it's not a Texas drawl, it's nothing Southern about my accent. And they're like, where you from? I'm like, I'm from Cali. And they're like, oh, like LA? I'm like, mm-mm. And they're stunned because they're like, not from LA, where could you be from? Like, the state isn't bigger than LA, and they have no idea where I'm from. I'm like, I'm from the Bay. And they're like, oh, and when my coworkers, they actually pulled another coworker over. It was like, hey, she from California. She said she from the Bay. Ain't that where you from? And I'm like, oh, okay. And he started chopping it with me. He's like, yeah, I'm from the Bay. I'm like, where you from? He's like, Stockton. I looked at him and I said, sir, I'm gonna need to pull you to the side when little cuz right here is done asking me, because that's some of our slang too, like saying cuz and stuff like that, done getting help. And I pulled him to the side. I'm like, why are you telling people you from the Bay and you from Stockton? And he started cracking up because I knew that was not part of the inner Bay. And I'm like, sir, you're literally on the outskirts with what I consider part of the window shopping cities into the Bay. You can see the Bay, you're just not in the Bay. And I'm like, you from anywhere else that can be like Bay Area-ish? Like, he was like, well, I was born in the town. I was like, okay. Now I see why you yelling Bay, because nobody's gonna be like, what is a Stockton? So he's just like, yeah, I'm from the Bay. So I just tell people I'm from the town. I'm like, okay. So when I was hearing him telling other people that in like his daily talk, I'm looking at him like, I'm trying my best not to bust you out, because, sir, I'm gonna need you to calm down. Over here throwing around the Bay. That's heavy weight to be yelling, I'm from the Bay and you from Stockton. I'm gonna need you to slow your roll, sir. And same thing, I don't know, I'm in my mid-30s, and it might be part of my Asian descent that's into gambling. Not that I have a problem with gambling, which makes it sound like I have a problem with gambling, because I say I don't have a problem. I'm in the bingo. I know that's like an old people sport, and no offense to anybody that considers bingo to be something you do when you're elderly. Most people I've seen in there was around my age or just in the next decade above, in like their 40s. There are those OGs who was like, this is my seat, I've always sat here, this is my table. But for me, I love me some bingo. Whenever, anybody wants to come out, let's go to bingo. I might take you might want to take me to dinner, I'm gonna take you to bingo. But I was going to bingo in Houston and ran into a lady at the door. She's struggling. She just won a bingo and they're closing. Her phone dies and she cannot figure out how to call her husband and say, pick me up. And I'm like, bingo closed the same time every time. What do you mean he don't know when to pick you up? I see her over there distressed, like how I'm going to get my ride and I got this cash on me. I'm like, you okay? She like, yeah, I'm trying to call my husband. My phone died so he could pick me up because I don't want to be just standing out here. I was like, well, I could call him for you on my phone, but I'm going to put it on speakerphone and hold it. Because coming from the Bay, just don't give people your stuff. And so I'm like, but being in the South, it's a little more friendlier. And so she caught on that the moment I didn't have 100% trust in her, that I was not from Texas. And she was like, where are you from? I'm like, I'm from Cali. She was like, oh, really? What part? I'm like, I'm from Vallejo. She was like, oh, the Bay Area. I'm from the Bay Area. I'm like, okay. I'm like, she was, and the phone's ringing to call her husband at this point. She was like, babe, I met this nice lady. She let me use her phone so I could call you to pick me up, but she's from the Bay. And I'm like, oh, yeah. He's like, oh, yeah, we're from the Bay, too. And she was like, yeah, I'm from Pittsburgh. I'm like, damn. You just established I'm from the Bay. You gonna tell me you from Pittsburgh? That's not the Bay. And her husband even busted her out. He was like, well, she from Pittsburgh, I'm from the town. I'm like, okay, so he's from you're married to a Bay Area. This is what you're telling me. So you got your Bay Area visa, like a work visa. So you married to someone from the Bay. Therefore, you migrated as a Bay Area person. Gotcha. And she was so excited. I'm surprised he answered, because I have a Bay Area number. And it was late in Texas, but he ended up answering because he seen it was around the time that we would be leaving to pick her up. And she was like, oh, can I have him save your number? So when I get home, I can have your number. Now I got somebody from the Bay I could talk to. I was a little standover. We're taught in the Bay Area to, we cool, but we not that cool. Like, I don't know you like that. I told her, I said, I don't really know about all that. I mean, I could see you in bingo again, but she can tell from the way I talk, my accent wasn't from the South, and my aura. All these people walking past her, she stopped me, and I'm like, yeah, you okay? Because she was looking stressed. She saw I was watching her. She was like, oh, can I use your phone? No one's letting me use their phone. And she seen that I had a different presence about myself that is unique to the Bay Area. In the way I talk, she could hear that I was not from there. She could tell it was from the Bay Area based off of my language. Even with some of that Midwest accent that I have, she knew I was from the actual Bay Area. And that's just so unique how we can identify other people from our area across the country. We just know it's one of my people. I might not have known you in the Bay, but you're one of my people. I feel a little bit of home is here with me. And I think that's unique. Do you get that a lot down there in LA, sis?
Every now and then I do get that. I've been in situations where I've met people and we're talking about something, a hairstylist, for example, and she said something. I just felt her energy. I said, yeah, I'm from the Bay. She said, me too. I said, where? She's like, I'm from the town. I said, bet, me too. And it was crazy because every now and then, even though we're all from Cali, but it's just like, it's like a vibe, and it's a good feeling when you meet someone who is not from LA and you are in LA, and it's just that connection. You get excited. And the cool thing is, this woman who I met, she actually had done Megan Good's hair, so it was dope that she was doing my hair, and we just had a good conversation. So there have been, the years I've been living out here, I've met a couple people from the Bay, and it's just that connection, and we just vibe differently. Like you said, we move differently, and our conversation is different, our energy is different, and it's a beautiful vibe. Even when I'm not in LA, when I'm in Chicago, or I'm in Atlanta, like I meet some people, because there's a lot of us who live in Atlanta now, and when I meet some of us, we just move differently, and we just pinpoint that you are not naturally from the South or whatever, and you're Bay vibes, and I'm here for all of that.
Our roots,
and I think that's a beautiful thing. And shout out to literally our producer and editor, because he's also from the Bay. Okay, so everybody in this podcast is Bay all day.
Bay roots.
Hayward and the Drum. Okay, so like shout out to him, because this is why this makes this podcast so special, because everybody on this is homegrown. We are born and raised Bay Area all day, Cali all day. Yeah. And I love that. Even though some of us don't live in those spaces anymore, we are definitely, from homegrown roots, are from the Bay Area. And I want to say that because it's a beautiful feeling, and we're gonna wrap this up, because we can go on and on about Bay, but you know what, y'all, we're gonna have more to come. We're gonna give y'all something special in the future about the Bay life, because
of who we are as people and where we come from that make us unique. And it's all thanks to the Bay. It's a blessing to be from the Bay Area compared to other places we've lived. It's so unique, so diverse. It's a huge melting pot, and unlike other places I live, it's a melting pot that works. The flavor is there. And a lot of different cultures mixed in. and it worked. We know how to come together even when we're in other states. We see someone from the Bay, don't even have to know them. We just feel that vibe. We know how to support each other, and I like to share that with everyone, so that way, you know, we're lovers in the Bay, lovers and friends.
Exactly. And we're gonna give you more of the Bay flavor in future episodes, but we want to give y'all a taste and let y'all know, Don't Trip Sis, we from the Bay all day, and we rep hard, okay? Yeah. We may live in LA, and some of us may still in the Bay, but regardless, wherever we move to in life, we gonna rep the Bay all day because we love it. It's a beautiful place, and I'm so proud to be from the Bay Area, the town, Alameda, and all the other places I have spread my roots in, you know, and so it's just a beautiful thing. But again, we're going to continue this episode in the future, but we appreciate y'all for listening again. A very special Bay Area shout out to y'all, and we gonna keep it going, and we look forward to seeing y'all.
Thank you for tuning in.
Thank y'all.
That's it for this episode of Don't Trip Sis, where we kept it real, kept it lighthearted and funny, and kept the stress out of here. Until next time, protect your peace, don't block your blessings, and remember, don't trip, sis.